What if I told you guys that this footage you're about to see is even more broken than the current Sturm bug? In fact, it's probably 100 times more broken. And you probably don't believe me right now after hearing that. Well, I'll let the footage speak for itself, and I'll be right back. Coming back. Yes! Let's go!
Oh, that's dumb. That's so stupid.
Holy shit. This might be the biggest game-breaking DPS bug this game has ever had, besides just outright cheating. Like, Bellador's wasn't even this broken. That was, like, inconsistent. You kind of had to hit multiple times and blah, blah, blah. This is 100% guaranteed and brain-dead easy. You cannot possibly mess this up. How ridiculous is this? Well, I went to the shooting range to test this out on big old Jimbo, the ogre, right? And I was hitting for 450,000 plus per single sword swing. I got 1.5 million damage in 3 seconds, and the only reason why it's not more is because the motherfucker died. 450 AK.
So stupid.
Lose. That was 4 hits, I think.
They're gonna delete the game?
1.832 million. To give you a little perspective on that damage number, 1.5 million, if we're going by old numbers pre-Edge of Fate, typically what people are doing is they're multiplying that number by 50. So 1.5 million times 50 is 75 million damage. That's nearly 3 whole witnesses that you just murdered in 3 seconds. This literally one-shots everything. That's not an exaggeration or some clickbait, statement. When I tell you, I am literally going to be one-shotting everything you see on the screen, other than, like a final stand animation where they go immune for a couple seconds and then they get smacked. I'll get into explaining how everything works and what the build is and all of that, but just do me a favor and look at this Atheon clip playing in the background and take a look at me hitting the crisp 999,999, a number that we thought we would never see again with Edge of Fate. And not only that, but look what happens to Atheon's body. And a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 5. Hi, Atheon. What?
Where'd he go?
That's what I'm saying! I deleted him from the game! Brother actually went to a different timeline to get away from my sword. So here's how it works. Ignore my Guardian's fashion and how he looks like he climbed out of a dumpster. I just threw this together. The first thing I'm going to say is, Sturm and Drang, not needed. Not needed at all. You can take them off. You can run whatever else you want. Or you could run it right now currently while it's not disabled and just abuse it with, like, your punches and your grenades if you want. But you don't need this for what I'm about to tell you. But the one thing you do need is going to be a lightweight frame sword. So either Gold Tusk or Quick Fang. Gold Tusk is craftable if you've crafted it in the past, and Quick Fang is just Omega old. I think the only way you can get these if you don't already have them is playing the lottery at Zur. So if you don't have one, good luck. Otherwise, you can use whatever copy you have. It doesn't matter what perks you have on it. You will just Giga Delete whatever you hit. The way this works is incredibly stupid. You're going to do Giga damage by, let's say, rallying, and then you're going to deplete all of your heavy ammo straight to 0. So just, like, put on a different heavy, then swap back to the sword, then swap, then swap, then swap, then swap, until you're at 0, and then you're done. Your whole setup is done. That's it. Just hit 0 and move on. From there, you just want to get to the damage phase. Now, the footage you're watching is me on Titan, but I do want to state that you don't have to be on Titan. You could be on Warlock or Hunter. You could do it on any class. I just happen to be on Titan because I want to use Worm God's Caress. But if you go to, like, Hunter, for example, you could put on Synthos on a class item, and the same thing with Warlock. And you're probably asking, why am I talking about Synthos and Worm Gods when I'm using a sword? And that's because, apparently, when the sword has no ammo and you're just hitting with the hilt, you're doing both melee and weapon damage. Don't know why? I mean, none of this makes any sense, so just keep going along with it. So because of that, back to my ugly Guardian here, my build was going into melee spec and then weapon spec. As much melee as possible, preferably 160 with 2 melee font mods, which would give you 200 total for the maximum amount of damage for melee, and then as much weapons from there as possible to maximize. Speaking of maximizing, here is the build. I have the generic aspects of Into the Fray and Banner of War. Banner is really the only one that matters. Everything else in the ability section doesn't really matter, but Grapple is the way to go just for flying around and getting to places fast as you want to just build your Burning Fists quickly. And then in the Fragments, the first one is specifically to get Woven Mail to turn that into Shield Crush, so you want to have Threat of Warning on. And then for the other 3, the reason to put these is not for the effects that they do, but actually for the stats that they give. So Transmutation will give you melee, Propagation will give you melee, and then Thread of Ascent will give you weapons. So you get plus 20 on your melee, and then plus 10 on your weapons. For anyone that's just listening and not watching, again, the fragments are Warding, Transmutation, Propagation, and Ascent. Alright, now for the actual gameplay loop setup. So, if you have Sturm and Drang on, you want to go ahead and get your 1 Drang kill, and then put on Sturm so you have the Overcharge on, assuming they haven't fixed that by now. If they have, then just ignore this part and wear whatever you want. If you do have Sturm on, then you just start punching things when you're getting ready for damage, so you're slowly building up your Burning Fist stacks. You want to have them as high as you can. You don't need 5. You're doing like 3 billion damage when you hit your slice, so don't worry about having 5 every single time. Just get some going into damage. Also keep in mind, while you're doing this, you're also building stacks for Banner of War, which gives you a 10% damage bonus to both melees and swords, I believe. So I don't know if it stacks to 20%, but yeah, you're getting free damage from that. Lastly, you want to have orbs going into whatever damage phase you're doing. This is because you will make your surges live in your boots, as well as getting an orb for warding in your fragments, which will give you Woven Mail, which will give you access to shield crush damage. So you can make orbs by yourself, or you can have a teammate do it for you, like Pop a Well, for example, as you're going to be seeing in these clips. And then you're pretty much set to go. The final nail in the coffin before the actual sword is going to be a debuff. So you either have a buddy that's debuffing for you, Tractor, Tether, etc., or if you're not using Sturm and Drang, you could put on a primary that has Withering Gaze, for example, and apply your own debuff. Then you go to town on the boss. Make sure that your Gold Tusk is again at 0 ammo, and then go in on the boss, just simply jump and do your light attack. Not your heavy attack, your light attack. The M1 or whatever your light attack is on your controller, and bam, the boss is instantly deleted. You have completed the activity. Like I said, this is way, way, way more broken than Sturm. I wasn't lying to you. Lastly, let me mention mods. So, I already talked about some of them, but let me go over the whole thing as a whole. In my helmet, I had Powerful Friends and Radiant Light just for other sources of getting armor charges or orbs to drop for me and my teammates, just in case. In my gloves, I mentioned the 2 melee fonts. That gives me 40 points to get to 200 melee. I also had a Siphon mod on my helmet, for anybody that cares. In my chest, I just had resist on whatever activity I was doing, or whatever boss, depending on what they shoot. My boots, I have triple Arc Weapon Surge, because Gold Tusk is Arc. And then lastly, I have 2 copies of Time Dilation in my class item, just so I have a longer timer on my charges if I'm just taking a while to get, like, burning stacks or whatever. Your only artifact mod that you want to worry about is Shield Crush. While you have Woven Mail, which you will get from just picking up an orb, you would then have your melee recharge faster, and it'll deal increased damage. In this case, it's your sword, not your actual melee. Anyway, I think it's safe to say that if you haven't solo or solo flawless something in the game by now, and this is not patched the moment maintenance is up, you should absolutely do it now, and go face roll whatever boss that you couldn't beat before. That said, I'll leave the dim link down below in the description in case you want to try the build out on your own. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing today. It does help the channel grow and is much appreciated. If you want to go the extra mile, you can leave a like and or comment below as well. If you don't know what to leave as a comment, you can leave Gold Tusk as the comment. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.